Okay, what you've got in high school is the hash marks divide the field in thirds. And so this is 53 feet 4 inches into this hash mark, and it's 53 foot 4 inches here and 53 foot 4 inches here, or about 18 yards. It's a little less than 18, I think. But it's like this. Now, if you set your right formation and you set it in here like this, and let's say we're running 34. What happens is it's real hard to use this area of the field out here. It's just a long ways away. And also what can happen is that if they are using a cover 3, they can put a corner, a free safety, a strong safety, and a corner out here like this. And then let's say that they got an opie, a nose, a tackle, a stud, and a Sam, and a Mike, and a Will. And so what they've got is they're able to use their strong safety, who would be one of their better players, and they defense the wide side of the field and the strength of the formation. Okay, now there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're running the boot, you're running it into the short side of the field, and if you're running 29, you're running it into the short side of the field, and if you're running 34 or 44, you're running right here, and you're really not threatening this area out here so much. And if you do try to threaten that, you got to do it with this guy, and you can't bring him in and have him block on this guy too well. So what a lot of people do is just say that they're going to use the wide side of the field for their strength side. Now, what I'm going to show you is, let's do the same thing here, and let's put the formation into the narrow side. Okay, and let's run 34 in here. All right, now the defense has to make a decision. Are they going to overshift their line to the strength of the formation? And if they do, are they going to rotate the strength of the secondary to the wide side of the field? Because they got the wide side out here. So how are they? What are they going to do? Are they going to put the strength of your formation being the determiner, or the strength of the field? And by just doing this little thing like this, now if they take their strong safety and they put him over here, we can still get in there and block on him. But now if they have this kind of thing, you're one-on-one out here in half of the field, and they just can't. You should be able to really beat them out in there. So as a general rule, with our offense, I like putting the tight end into the boundary. Now, if they decide that they're going to rotate their secondary over here, so that they can get more into this type of thing, now you got them outnumbered. And and this is still, they can't really cover this. We can also go into Cobra, or this is where, you know, I was talking about that Mama 134 zoom like this, and doing this, and that is just really tough with your tight end getting over into here and that kind of thing. So it just, I don't want to say it's an all the time thing, but it sure makes a difficult thing on your secondary. I want to show you what one of the teams that we played in the playoff did. They were running a different offense. They were actually running the veer, but they almost always in their veer offense would use a compressed formation with Cobra. And what almost every team would do on this, in fact every team that we watched them, they beat everybody, and what they would do in the veer a lot of times use cover 2 so that what happens is you use a veer, and they have to cover the veer pass and the outside veer and all this kind of thing. Well, teams would use cover 2, and they would do this, and they would set their safeties in here fairly tight like this. And then what they did is they ran the scissors like this and ran some action this way, and nobody covered these guys out here like that. Sometimes they wouldn't scissors, sometimes they just do it like this, run down here like that. And so when we played them, we stopped them, but I understood what they were doing with their compressed formation and their wide side of the field, and we put we ran cover 2 against them, but we took our safety and put him out here outside the hash. So now if they wanted to run this type of thing, we had them pretty well controlled. But the reason I was telling you that is that compressing the formation and to the wide side of the field is another thing that causes teams some real problems with potential big plays. I'm going to go into a couple more things with this. This is kind of area of the field type of things. And our formations and shifts and motion enable us to put more people into certain areas. All right, now there are basically 2 kinds of 7-man fronts, and I'm gonna put this up here like this. The first one is some form of a 4-3, some form of a 4-3. That takes 7 guys. That leaves 4 guys to defense the field out here. All right, now in these 4 guys, they could be in cover 2, where these corners are more protected in this area, and these guys are more protected out in here. Or and when we look at this right here, if we can hold this guy low and get somebody into here like this, now we can run a high-low on this guy, and this guy can't really defend it very well, and so we can offense this area of the field. Now, the other thing they can do with a 7-man front is play a cover 4. Now here, okay, now here, we call it cover 4 because, well, that first one was cover 2. And there were 2 deep safeties. In cover 4, there are 4 guys playing deep. Now, they're weak out in this area here, unless this guy is going to help cover out there. And if he helps cover out there, then it weakens their box and so on. But it's important that you are able to think in terms of that. Okay, now a defense that you're going to see, and well, a 7-man front can be a 4-3 type of thing, or it can be a 5-2 type of thing. But in each of those cases, there's 7 people. And in our particular offense here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys to block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they're in the 7-man front, we think that we got an excellent chance to be successful in what we do. Okay, so you've got a 4-3 or a 5-2 type of thing on that. Now, 8-man fronts, what they do is they get into 8 people in here kind of defense in the box. But in 8-man front defenses, now they've used 8 people here, so they've only got 3 left. And this would be what would be referred to probably as a cover 3. And there are 3 deep people. Now there's really 2 types of 8-man front defenses. And what they are is the 4-4, and the other one is the 5-3 type of concept. But now they've got an extra guy in here. And in this particular case right here, this is where we may want to bring an extra guy in here so we can block this edge, or we may want to bring an extra guy in here. And you know, they're going to do something like this, but this guy is not really a box type of defender, and if he is sticking his nose in here, then we can get out in there. Then what we have is, so what I've shown you is a 7-man front versus our 7. All right, and then we've got an 8-man front versus our 7. An 8-man front is a little more weak out here, so you may want to run a little bit more of the play action, but you still want to run your basic stuff. But also, we have a heavy run defense package. And the way that works is, the first thing, let's look at what we call a flat 4. Now, on the flat 4, in essence, this guy here is kind of locked up on this guy, and this guy is kind of locked up on this guy. And what happens is, now they've got a 7, I'm going to go back to a 5-2 thing. They've got a 7-man front here, but the reason we call this a flat 4 is they are reading usually the number 2 receiver, and the number 2 receiver might be this guy on one side and this guy on the other side. And if this guy blocks, this guy will come right up in a hurry. And if this guy would happen to block, he comes right up in a hurry. So in essence, instead of having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 man up front, they have actually a 9-man box defense there, because these guys are primarily running in here. Now, if this guy released, then they're going to have more of a tendency to play back here. But this is still a defense. The flat 4 is something that I think you're probably going to run into. All right, the next one is cover 1. And with 1, they have 1 deep safety. And now these guys do lock up man to man. And this guy locks up man to man on him. And maybe this guy locks up man to man on him. But now, if we down block in here like this, it brings this guy right down. And now they are able to get into an 8 or maybe even a 9-man, well, depending on if they're doing this now, it's a heavy type of run thing. We also have the 0 coverage. Now 0 is where there are no free safeties, and this guy is playing down into the box here like this, and so now they have 2 guys that are covering these guys by pass. He's reading him, but now they get an extra guy, and so really, if these guys are covering outside and covering there, they got 9 guys now that in one way or another are playing down into the box. As an offensive strategist, you've got to understand a little bit about this, and that you're going to have to deal with it. Now, my thought is that if we're good at running the power, we can run the power versus anything. And when I get into the plays, I'm going to also talk to you about our goal line offense, which our basic goal line offense is 44 and 34 and 134, and the play action.